way over there. Don't touch this and don't do that, and he makes some silly jokes here. But we're having a good time here at the Turning Point USA conference. Everybody, Student Action Summit, you're all happy to be here. Happy people, yay! Just because those guys on that stage aren't up here, you can still clap. We're still humans too. We like attention. Everybody has egos. Okay. I am here with Tony Ortiz, who is from the current Revolt, who is supposed to have been on the Mike Church show for like forever. And you were actually scheduled once, and then Trump went and did something and screwed that up because there was a live event that day. And I told Magdalene, can we get another date? But now you're actually here. What made you decide to come to this one?
Yeah, we've been long sponsors, supporters of Turning Point. They do really great stuff, and so really happy to be here. And we've been coming to their events for several years.
So tell folks about the current Revolt. Now, this is a Texas-specific publication.
Correct.
And you're primarily on Substack.
Correct, yeah. So it's currentrevolt.com. We cover just Texas news, and we're kind of, the best way to describe us is we're kind of like a National Enquirer or a TMZ of Texas news.
Do you want to be the National Enquirer of Texas news?
Absolutely.
Well, people may forget, the National Enquirer broke the Jesse Jackson story. The National Enquirer broke the Gary Hart affair story.
Right.
I forget what was the Jackson story. I forget what it was. The Reverend Jackson. They actually broke several stories. They weren't just doing this kind of stuff.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking.
So they're kind of known for that, but that's not all that they do.
Right, and that's same with us. We've broken several national stories. We broke the Sheila Jackson Lee audio where she was going off on some of her staff, and she was like super angry. So we broke that. We broke the Van Taylor story where he was cheating on his wife with a woman he met at a nonprofit event. So we've broken a lot of stories kind of related to that.
And what is the Ken Paxton story?
Yeah, so big news, right? First off, it's not breaking news that Paxton has previously had extramarital affairs.
Now, let's set this up. Ken Paxton is the
Attorney General of Texas.
Okay.
Right.
So a front and center dude for the Kerrville floods. He was there that morning.
Correct. And you would argue, many could argue, and I would agree, he's a phenomenal Attorney General.
Yes,
okay?
I would agree.
But, he's had some scandals, and previously, he was involved in some financial stuff that he almost got impeached for, and he had some extramarital affairs in his past, and they even dragged in his mistress to the Texas State Capitol, and she didn't end up having to testify, but that was a big deal. Well, just yesterday, his wife, Senator Angela Paxton, filed for divorce. And in the divorce, in her statement on Twitter or X.com, she cited that there was new things that have come to light, and in the divorce filing, she cites that he had an affair.
So every time I think of new things come to light, I think of the movie The Big Lebowski, and I think new stuff has come to light, man. You're not privy to all this new stuff. I didn't know about the Paxton affair until I heard about it from you. So how long have you been at this with the Texas Revolt?
We actually just celebrated our 5-year anniversary 2 days ago. 2 days ago. So we started during COVID, like a lot of people did. It was a trigger for us to do stuff. And admittingly, we were just a bunch of guys that were very bored sitting around in a lockdown area and had nothing to do. And one of my guys said, I wish I had a place to just vent my thoughts. And so we made a website and we just started from there.
Are you guys a for-profit or a non-profit?
We're a non-profit.
So you were able to get that under Biden?
Yeah, well, we're a C4, so yeah, we were able to get that.
Okay, C4 is easy.
C4, yeah, C4 is easy. So not a C3, we are a C4, and the majority of our revenue almost exclusively comes from subscriptions from our website.
Yeah, I can tell you, I have applied for the C3 we have a thing called the Crusade Radio Guild, but I waited. I held that paper until Biden was out of office.
Smart.
Because I wasn't dealing with the Biden IRS, because they would have nuked me anyway. Because they would have had to read our filing, right? So we held up. But I did file it this year, and I fully expect that I'll be able to get it now. How many people are involved in the Texas Revolt? And you said guys sitting around wanting to vent. Or is it people sitting around?
It's people.
I don't want to be a male chauvinist pig.
Yeah, we don't want to be one of those. It's 2025, right? No, we do have female staff, of course, but there are several of us. They all write under pseudonyms. They're involved all across the state, so we kind of protect their identity, and we're careful about that. But we've got a great team that does phenomenal work out in the field.
You know, there have been some great people that cover news and politics that have come from the state of Texas. I don't know if you're familiar with, but I'll give you a couple of names. Melvin Bradford, M.E. Bradford, big Texas, 6'6", giant cowboy hat. He went back and forth with Harry Jaffa and with Russell Kirk over Lincoln, and then Mel Bradford was the anti-Lincoln. Russell Kirk was, he did this. Great Texan. My friend John Daniel Davidson, who writes at The Federalist. Right. John Daniel got his start at working for one of those Texas periodicals. It's not a nonprofit, kind of similar to yours. And John Daniel, another great writer from Texas. Are you a contributor, Tony Ortiz?
To Current Revolt?
Yes.
I do contribute to our rad.
Under your name?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
you said pseudonyms.
Well, yeah, it's really funny. The first year we operated, nobody knew that I was running this. And I would go to events, or I'd go out in public or different Republican or political events, and people would come up to me like, do you know who runs this thing? They've got great stuff. And I'd be like, I don't know who runs that. Eventually, I got doxxed, and I've been front-facing ever since.
Okay, so let's just talk Texas politics. I think it's one of the most fascinating. The state itself, and most people don't know this, and I might be telling something that you may not know because it's an arcane fact, but the state, when it entered the Union in 1843, or in 1845, the state had a compact between the former territories that were under Mexico. There were 5 of them, 5 regions. You got your El Paso, you got your San Antonio, you got your Houston, you got your Dallas area, and then you have your top panhandle. They reached an agreement in 1843 where they said, we'll let this thing you call the Texas legislature or assembly, we'll let you apply to this monstrosity in Washington, D.C. for statehood, but we reserve the right. If it ever goes south, we reserve the right to invoke, and somebody found this document in the University of Minnesota library, the legal law library at the University of Minnesota. They found this document, and because people were saying, that never happened, that was a handshake. No, they wrote it down. They reserved the right to return to the original 5 Texas regions. And I've always thought, look, if we're ever going to get out from underneath the Union, a great place to start is either in Louisiana, because we are your first. When Louisiana is purchased by Jefferson, whether you agree with that or not, when Louisiana is purchased by Jefferson, it is to keep. Most people wouldn't know this. It was to keep the English from taking it. The Spanish hated the English. The French hated the English. Well, everybody hates the English. And they didn't want Louisiana to fall into English hands. Because the Spanish pretty much have what we call Mexico today and the Western territories. Right. So Louisiana's a great state, one of the first states. We're carved out. We joined the Union in 1812. Texas is a great state. Has a great. It's interesting because we have a really unique political history, just like you guys in Texas do. Your legislature only meets every 2 years,
right?
So you got to get stuff done the old-fashioned way. But it doesn't seem like they ever get around to pulling the trigger on the really big things. Did your legislature? They were meeting this year, right?
Yes, we just wrapped up session.
Anything big come out of it?
There's always great stuff. There's always bad stuff, and like you mentioned, it's always never enough.
Never enough,
right? And I think that the strategy there, if I could theorize for a bit, is that these politicians need something to run on every year, every election cycle. And so the idea is, well, let's not pass everything so that way when I'm up for re-election, I can promise the voters, hey, like you should elect me this time, so that way
this time we're going
to get it this time. We're going to get it this time. So there's a lot of that, right? But admittingly, like we're a great state. We've got constitutional carry. We've banned abortion. We could do a lot better on property tax. Our property taxes are out of control, right?
Well, now that Trump is on, dude, the bloodhound is on the scent. When he wants. Go ahead with the property tax is a huge issue in Texas, especially the taking of people's property over taxes. My friend Deborah Medina ran for governor. That was her platform.
Yeah, and it's a strong thing to run on. And, the part of the reason our property taxes are so high, we don't have any state income tax. So, the state's got to make up for that. But there was a big surplus this year, and people were mad. They were like, hey, you need to return that to the voters, right? We passed school choice, which people are on very extreme both ends of that. And so we've actually accomplished a lot this session. But like anything, there's always more to be done.
And it's such a large state.
Yeah, bigger than most countries.
So what are we, 34 million? 37.
Something like that, yeah, somewhere around there.
I did my movie, made 7 movies. My middle child movie, What Lincoln Killed, Episode 1. And the opening sequence, I go through. Did you know that the state of Texas is rated, the United Nations keeps economic statistics. Texas, if it were to be its own country, would be, at the time I made the movie in 2012, would be the 10th largest economy on Earth.
Absolutely. We have parking lots that are gas stations that are bigger than most countries. Have you been to a Buc-ee's?
I have been to a Buc-ee's.
It's bigger than the country of Germany.
As a matter of fact, I have a friend who actually lives in Wharton, Texas, and we were talking one day, and he goes, "Well, Mike, Buc-ee's is headquartered in Wharton." And I went, "You told me it was a little backwater hamlet." He goes, "It is." He goes, "But for some reason, Buc-ee's is headquartered in Wharton, Texas, and there's a Buc-ee's in Wharton."
A great company, great gas station. Yeah.
So, did you guys drive here?
No, we flew in.
Well, you missed 2 Buc-ee's. You missed one in Mississippi.
Okay.
The new one in Mississippi, and then you missed the one right past the Gulf Shores exit in Alabama.
Okay. Yeah.
On the way here. So you could have had 2 Buc-ee's on the way here.
Right. I missed the opportunity. Yeah, me and the wife, when we're traveling through Texas, like to Austin or Houston, it's Buc-ee's is a mandatory stop no matter what.
So how long is Greg Abbott then going to stay as governor of Texas? There is no term limit on governor.
There's not. And, there's rumors. There's always been rumors, and it's like this every election cycle that he's eventually going to drop and run from something else. I heard a crazy rumor recently that he's considering running for Cornyn's seat.
Really?
Yeah, that was my reaction. Your reaction there was my reaction. Like, it seems odd. Like, why would you go from being governor to running for a Cornyn's spot?
Yeah, you'll hate the Senate. If you're a governor, you get things done.
Yeah,
Senators
and the cloud and the attention and living in the governor's house, it's so cool. So I don't know if that's a very reliable rumor, but it is something that's interesting to think about, especially considering the fight going on. Cornyn's not very well liked. Ken Paxton's got all this drama going on. People may be looking for a third candidate to get in.
Well, I can tell you that there was a third candidate. There have been several third candidates. My friend Dwayne Stovall ran twice, and Candace and I, we know Dwayne going way back. Old Mike Church Show listener. He'd come to my house. He'd come to parties and stuff. I went to a couple of events in Liberty, Texas. What a great name that is. At a Dwayne event. I thought Dwayne had the best platform of any the independent or lesser-known candidates for the U.S. Senate. He drove how many counties is it? 134?
Oh, gosh. Yes, I think something like
something
that.
Like that. He visited every county, and he did great. He got double digits. He got like 13% last time he ran.
Which is huge in a state as large as Texas.
Last time he ran against Cornyn, he crossed 1 million. He was over 1 million votes. But I just think that there is this machine, and this machine is in Louisiana too. It all sounds good. Dwayne would make a phenomenal United States Senator to represent Texas, but it's just not going to happen because of the Republican Party.
Yeah, the Republican Party has kind of.
Well, first of all, am I right?
No, you're not wrong. It's the state of Texas is so huge.
So I'm kind of right.
The state of Texas is so huge, and to have name ID for a state that large,
it's big.
It's so hard. You had somebody like Don Huffines run for governor,
and he was such a good candidate.
People love him, and he had a good platform.
I loved him,
and he's great optics, great guy, beautiful family, and I think he got he hit double digits, but no, he couldn't touch Abbott. And now he's running for comptroller, and he's likely to win that. So he got his name ID from the Abbott run, and that may be helping him in his current run for office.
You know, I interviewed Don shortly after his conversion to Catholicism, and he and I talked about it. And he was just talking to me. I'm like, dude, I'm going to move to Texas so I can vote for you. I actually had a Don Huffine sign in my yard in Louisiana, and people are going like, who's this Huffine guy? I'm like, he's the Texas governor. You got to support this guy. No, he was a great candidate, and if a Don Huffine can't break through, who can?
Yeah, it's hard. And Abbott's untouchable. You look at somebody like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's untouchable. Ken Paxton.
Rick Perry was untouchable.
Right, that's true. Right, and look where he's at now. Like, he's kind of just he's done his thing. And I actually really liked Rick Perry. A lot of people don't. But
you know what I like about Rick Perry, Tony? At the end of the day, Rick Perry is a Texan.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a Texas good old boy.
He is. He's great.
And he ain't the smartest tool in the shed, but, you know, he got elected. He's he's an affable guy. I met him. He's a likable guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking guy.
Do you remember his mugshot? He's just smiling. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And remember when he went for a jog and he just casually shot a coyote and he's got the gun in the air? He's like...
One of the things that I remember most about Rick Perry was, and I forget what the circumstance was, but Obama was president, and they were quizzing Perry about something that Obama and Pelosi's Congress had done, and Perry just in passing, well, you know, here in Texas we don't do things like that, you know, and we always have to, we can always resort to secession if we need to, you know, secession's always on the table, and he rattled off, and the next day the world exploded, like Rick Perry said Texas is going to secede. Now you're talking to somebody that is a friend of and knows the founder of the TNM. Daniel Miller. I know Daniel personally. As a matter of fact, I actually am an honorary Hall of Fame member of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and I'm a supporter of it. And not even I was taken aback by Perry saying that. So he's
Perry just casually dropping that he's going to leave the Union. like it's another day, like no big deal. I love that.
And you said he's not doing anything now.
You know, wasn't he on Joe Rogan or something recently?
Was he?
I think he was doing something. I had the honor of sitting next to him at a Trump rally. And he's just such a cool dude. Like, I'm a big fan.
So, what's next for the for Tony Ortiz and for the current Revolt?
Well, you know, like I said, we just celebrated our 5-year. We're expanding. We're covering a lot more stories and kind of just trying to put out more content. We've kind of started transitioning to video and audio content because, you know, that's where it is. You know, as you know, people don't like to read stuff too much. You know, it's kind of hard. It's harder, especially with this young generation. These Gen Zers, they've got the attention of 15 seconds. That's why they're on TikTok all day. So we're trying to adjust the content to the changing landscape.
Well, they're scroll addicts.
Yeah, doom scrolling all day.
It's the endorphins and all that, which I believe at some point in time, a lot of these, especially the young men, are going to find vocational work with your hands work, and they're not going to have time to do a lot of scrolling.
No, they're going to have that 4-hour life.
You know, and I just interviewed 2 wonderful young people, Kate Lilly or Lily Kate.
Oh, she's great.
She's excellent.
Great. She's also a Texan.
And then Braden Sorbo.
Okay.
And I asked both of them the same question about the pivot. Is it real? For young men, did they actually really seriously in that Gen Z, did they make that right-hand turn in Albuquerque? You're nodding your head. You agree?
Yes, absolutely. You know, as you know, we've all been around long enough. The pendulum swings kind of with ideology, but this seemed to swing more. I think the Democrat Party, liberals, the progressive movement has overplayed their hand with the LGBTQ stuff, the trans stuff, the feminism, the woke ideology, all of that. And the young people have just gotten tired of it. There's this exhaustion where, like, even my wife noticed, and she's not political by any means, and she's like, everything that we turn on has got, like, gay guys in it, or there's, like, a unnecessary, like, shilling of minorities, and it's just, people are they're tired of it. They're tired of it. Yeah. And so the Gen Zers have finally said, like, no, we're not going to do this. We love our country. The economy sucks, and nobody's helping us. Everybody's talking about this gay stuff. A lot of these Gen Zers are not going to be able to afford a home. They're not. It's too expensive. The wages aren't keeping up with the house increases, the cost of living.
So that is something that is the fault primarily of the federal government. And especially the role that they played in inflation. And Trump knows this. President Trump knows this. He's a real estate guy. He wants to see that real estate business boom. And you know, he keeps talking about he wants the interest rate cut.
They won't do it.
I get it. I understand why he wants it. I think that he has to hold. What I think is probably ultimately going to happen is that if he doesn't get that, I think that, and I know people that are into gold, heavy into gold, and kind of that the cryptocurrency stuff.
Yeah.
I think that there's a reset that they're planning, and I think they're going to do it on the 4th of July, 2026. And I would not be shocked to find out that gold is worth $18,000 that day, and the debt is paid off.
Well, I hope that happens because I'm a big fan of gold. So when that if July 4th comes, I'll give you a shout out for being the guy that predicted it. Everybody's crazy until they're right.
Until they're right. Now, you guys are based in what major city?
Dallas.
You're in Dallas.
Correct.
Okay. Where can folks find you? You're
CurrentRevolt.com. Very big on X, so just at Current Revolt.
At Current Revolt. Okay, Tony, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Tony Ortiz. We're going to send you guys back to the studio and be back right here with some more great interviews here on the Crusade Radio Network, live from the TPUSA Student Action Summit here, so don't go away.